The revolutionary power of softness. Why putting down your armor changes everything. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. I want to begin by acknowledging the extraordinary woman whose wisdom forms the foundation of what I'm about to share with you. Sheronda Watkins is not just a visionary, she is a healer of generational wounds, a truth teller in spaces that often demand silence, and a revolutionary who understands that sometimes the most radical act is simply to rest. Her work on what she calls the soft girl era has created ripples of transformation across communities of Black women who have carried burdens far too heavy for far too long. Through her guidance, thousands of women have found permission to exhale, perhaps for the first time in their lives. What makes Sharonda truly remarkable is not just her insight, but her courage to challenge one of our society's most deeply entrenched myths, that strength means endurance at all costs. For generations, we've celebrated a particular kind of strength, the kind that never breaks, the kind that carries on regardless of circumstance, the kind that puts everyone else first. We've glorified the person who powers through, who never complains, who somehow manages to do it all. And nowhere has this expectation been more crushing than for Black women. We've created a culture that demands superhuman resilience from them at work, at home, in their communities, the strong Black woman who holds everything together, the backbone, the rock, the one who makes it happen no matter what. But here's what Sharonda Watkins helped me understand. What if this definition of strength isn't actually strength at all? What if it's just survival? And what if there's something even more powerful waiting on the other side of all that armor? This is the counterintuitive truth I want to explore with you today. True strength isn't about how much you can carry, it's about knowing when to put things down. Let me say that again because it matters. True strength isn't about how much you can carry, it's about knowing when to put things down. The first insight Sharonda shared is that softness is earned, not given. For many Black women, softness isn't just an aesthetic choice or passing trend. It represents a hard won state of being after years, sometimes generations, of living in survival mode. Choosing softness after carrying the weight of strength for so long becomes an act of self love, a rebellion against the expectation that they must always be strong. Think about that for a moment. We live in a society that has conditioned certain people, especially Black women, to believe that their value lies in their capacity to endure, to push through, to make it work no matter the personal cost. But what happens when endurance becomes your entire identity? Consider Darmacia Marnay Davidson, a businesswoman whose story illuminates this journey so powerfully. For years, Dharmasha felt the crushing pressure to always appear strong, balancing motherhood with building her brand while navigating spaces that didn't always affirm her vulnerability. I was exhausted, she shared in one of her posts, but I didn't know how to stop. Being strong wasn't just what I did, it was who I was until my body started giving me signals I couldn't ignore. After years of overextending herself, she came to a profound realization. She needed more than resilience, she needed restoration. So she began intentionally carving out moments for joy, like sharing matching pajamas, moments with her daughter. She prioritized self care routines. She openly discussed mental health challenges. The first time I posted about taking a mental health day instead of pushing through, she recalls, I was terrified. I thought people would see me as weak or uncommitted. Instead, my inbox flooded with messages from other women saying, "Thank you for giving me permission to rest too." Her authenticity resonated widely online. She built a supportive community around honesty instead of perfection. She grew an engaged following by modeling what it means to prioritize softness alongside ambition. Most importantly, she inspired other Black mothers and entrepreneurs to embrace vulnerability as part of their leadership journey. This brings me to Sharonda's second insight. Reclaiming gentleness is revolutionary. For many Black women, embracing their soft girl era means reclaiming gentleness and rest as sacred rights, not luxuries. It's about creating space to exhale, feel safe, and allow themselves to be loved without struggle. A radical shift from overgiving and constantly holding it together. We've been taught that gentleness is a luxury, something you can afford only after all the work is done. But what if gentleness is actually the foundation that makes all other work possible? Take the story of a content creator who goes by Jastinations on TikTok. This young Black woman has been documenting her journey into what she calls her fashion forward era while narrating how embracing softness transformed her confidence. She struggled with societal expectations around appearance, feeling pressured either toward hyper independence or superficial beauty standards rather than genuine self expression. "I used to dress for protection," she explains in one of her most powerful videos. "Every outfit was armor, every look was a shield. I didn't realize how exhausting it was till I started dressing for joy instead." Her solution was beautifully simple yet profound. She began using fashion as creative therapy. She openly shared vulnerable reflections on growth through style transformations, connecting these changes back to emotional healing. After years of feeling unseen unless she was performing strength, she decided vulnerability would guide both her personal style choices and content creation going forward. The impact was immediate and far reaching. She built a loyal audience inspired by seeing real transformation rooted in inner work, not just outer change. Her platform became known for celebrating soft energy without shame, a rare space centering joyful evolution for young Black women online. She helped normalize conversations around gentleness as integral, not antithetical, to ambition among Gen Z professionals. The most surprising thing she shared recently is how my softness has actually made me more influential, not less. People trust me because I'm real about my struggles. That's a kind of power I never expected to find. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds wonderful for personal life, but what about professional settings? Surely we need to maintain our armor in competitive environments. This brings me to Sharonda's third insight. Vulnerability can be transformative in professional spaces. Learning to put down your armor doesn't make you less capable as an entrepreneur or leader. It can actually deepen your impact by fostering authentic connections and nurturing environments where others also feel safe enough to show up fully. Consider the collective story of Black women working as medical assistants across the country. These healthcare professionals face unique challenges in their settings. They're often expected by both employers and patients never to show fatigue or emotion, what some call the strong nurse trope, leading many into burnout cycles without adequate support systems. One medical assistant described it this way: "Patients would tell me, 'You're so strong,' when I didn't flinch during difficult procedures. But inside, I was thinking, what if I don't want to be strong right now? What if I need support too?" Their response to this challenge offers a powerful lesson. Many formed peer networks focused on wellness check ins. They advocated internally for mental health resources tailored toward staff needs. They shared stories publicly via social media about finding small joys at work despite systemic pressures. The outcomes were remarkable. Improved morale within teams where these practices were adopted, and increased retention rates among staff, citing better emotional support structures. Many entered healthcare driven by family or community needs, but soon realized sustaining compassion required boundaries and permission to care also for themselves first. Some even led workshops and panels at local hospitals about workplace wellness from culturally competent perspectives, sparking ongoing dialogues across institutions nationwide regarding sustainable ways organizations can honor both strength and softness in predominantly female and BIPOC workplaces. As one leader in this movement put it, we're not asking to care less about our patients. We're asking for the space to care more about ourselves so we can show up fully for others without depleting our own wells. This is the profound truth that Sheronda Watkins helped me understand. Softness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the recognition that we are human beings, not human doings. That our worth isn't measured by our productivity or our capacity to endure hardship. That sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply to rest. For too long, we've operated under a fundamental misunderstanding about strength. We've confused endurance with empowerment. We've mistaken survival for thriving. We've celebrated those who carry impossible burdens without complaint instead of questioning why those burdens exist in the first place. And in doing so, we've created a culture that glorifies exhaustion, that treats burnout as a badge of honor, that sees vulnerability as something to overcome rather than embrace. But what if we've been wrong all along? What if true strength lies not in how much we can carry, but in knowing what to put down? Not in how little we need, but in how honestly we can ask for what we do need. Not in how well we hide our wounds, but in how bravely we tend to them. This is the revolution that Sheronda Watkins is leading, a quiet, powerful reclamation of softness as strength, a permission slip for those who have carried too much for too long to finally put it down. And here's what makes this revolution so powerful. When we allow ourselves to be soft, we create space for others to do the same. When we acknowledge our own humanity, we make room for the humanity of others. When we tend to our own wounds, we become better equipped to help heal the wounds of our communities. This isn't just about self care, it's about collective liberation. It's about creating a world where strength isn't measured by how much suffering we can endure, but by how much joy we can create. Not by how little we need, but by how generously we can give from our overflow, not our emptiness. So I challenge you today, what would happen if you allowed yourself, even just for this moment, to lay down your armor? What possibilities might open up in your life, your relationships, your work, if you treated your need for gentleness not as weakness, but as wisdom? The revolution begins with a single breath, a moment of saying no to what depletes you and yes to what nourishes you, a recognition that your worth is inherent, not earned through endless productivity and sacrifice. This is your invitation to join the revolution of softness, to discover the power that lives on the other side of your armor, to find out what becomes possible when you finally give yourself permission not just to survive, but to thrive. Because the world doesn't need more exhausted warriors, it needs whole, healed humans who understand that true strength flows not from endurance, but from embracing our complete humanity, including our need for rest, for care, for tenderness. This is the path forward. And it begins with putting down the weight you were never meant to carry alone. Thank you.